Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the Autonomous Domains Launch Party. I'm Jim Counter, I'm the Head of Ecosystem at Autonomous and Council Member at the Subspace Foundation, and I want to thank everyone for taking the time out of your day to be here with us. If this is your first time joining one of our calls, welcome, and if you've been here before, you know how far we've come. Today marks another major milestone for the network and for the community that's helped us build it. With the activation of domains and the deployment of Auto EVM to mainnet, we're officially entering a new era of autonomy, programmability, and decentralized execution. This is a moment that's been years in the making, and it's not just about infrastructure, it's about unlocking new possibilities for builders, stakers, and users across the entire autonomous stack. Today, we'll walk through what domains are, how they work, and what they mean for the future of the network. We'll show you how to stake on your favorite operators. We'll deploy a real smart contract to Auto EVM live on the call, and we'll cover what this unlocks in terms of exchanges, cross-chain assets, and the broader AI 3.0 vision. But before we get into the agenda, I'd like to introduce a few of the folks joining me on stage today from across Autonomous Labs and the Subspace Foundation. We have Todd, CEO of Autonomous Labs. We have Jeremy, CTO of Autonomous Labs. We have Emil, Community Team Lead, and Devrel. Peter, the CMO of the Subspace Foundation. And last but of course not least, Randy, our Technical Community Manager. You'll be hearing from each of them as we go through today's call. Before we get into it, a quick reminder to follow us on our socials if you haven't already. So you can see there we have Autonomous Net on X. That's where you can get the most updates on our progress. And then we have our Autonomous Labs X account. That's where we post more technical content that developers and engineers are likely to find interesting. You can see our Discord, our Telegram, and our forum links there. They are all in the footer on our website at autonomous.xyz. Okay, so now let's take a quick look at what we're going to be covering today. First, you'll hear a few opening remarks from Todd as we reflect on what this milestone means in the broader context of the autonomous journey. I'll then walk us through a domains primer, covering what domains are, how they're architected, and the roles of farmers, operators, nominators, and builders in this new execution model. Jeremy is going to show us how to stake an operator, including a walkthrough of the staking process using Polkadot.js. Emil, as I mentioned, is going to deploy a smart contract live to Auto EVM on mainnet, walking through the dev workflow and highlighting the resources available to builders. Peter's going to give us an update on exchanges and how EVM support expands our reach and integration pathways. Randy's going to close out the main segments with reminders on our current Dawn of Autonomy campaigns, which of course is Spark and Seed and the Node Atlas Challenge. Then we'll be answering as many of your questions as we can. We've had some really great questions come through on the form this week, which I'm really pleased about. And then finally, I'll close us out by returning for some closing thoughts and share a few ways that you can get involved right now, whether you're a builder, a staker, or just joining the network. This is a huge moment for the autonomous ecosystem, and we are so glad to be celebrating with it with you live. And okay, with that, let's get things started. I'm going to hand it over to Todd for a few opening remarks. Todd.
Thank you, Jim. Hello, everyone. As Jim said, thank you very much for joining us for this, which is the kind of the culmination of this entire process that we've been going through for the last 4+ years. So we thank you for joining us. I just wanted to explain a few things and also provide some guidance. I know there's a lot of questions in the community, and as always, we want to be as transparent as possible in how we answer them. So the launch of domains happening on August 6th may have come as a surprise to some people. It did come up quickly. This is due to a strategic shift that we've made in our launch sequence. It was determined that additional time was going to be required to get all of the exchange integrations ready to go. So therefore, what we've done is we've flip-flopped the two. Rather than having exchange trading start and launching domains after, we have now launched domains and we'll be initiating exchange trading after. So as a result, Auto EVM is live today, which is ahead of our original mid-August timeline. And exchange trading will now commence in that mid-August time slot that had been targeted for Auto EVM. Getting into exchanges a little bit, because I know this is something everybody wants to hear about, understandably. We are now just 1 to 2 weeks away from the listings being announced and getting underway. I'm going to give you a very detailed and transparent accounting for what we've been doing, what needs to be done, and why it is taking as long as it is. The timing of this is due to the coordination required with all 5 exchanges. Yes, there are going to be 5, each requiring 7 days notice before announcing that exchange listings will take place following week. And of course, no exchange can make an announcement until all of the exchanges are 100% ready to go. The foundation cannot make any of its announcements regarding the listings until all the exchanges have made their announcements. Of course, there's the Swiss Foundation compliance that comes into play, the policies and procedures, the board resolutions, the stringent exchange requirements that have taken the foundation itself almost 2 months to complete. And of course, the addition of an exchange, which I'll talk about, has kind of added a little bit of complexity to that, but things are in very good shape. Of course, the summer holiday schedules across the Northern Hemisphere where we're located have further impacted this. People going on vacation and so forth. And again, these are not excuses. I'm giving you the actual reasons why things are taking as long as they are, and a little more detail on exactly what those things are. So to ensure that we have the strongest possible liquidity available at launch, we have secured a listing with a tier 1 exchange. This is the last one that we were able to procure. And these larger exchanges have much more rigorous KYC, KYB, that's know your customer, know your business requirements. And this, of course, adds an additional layer of complexity. So this pause kind of to get these all set was a deliberate but prudent move to preserve the integrity and stability of the launch process, ensuring that there's adequate liquidity to accommodate the entire market. So we are still working on a few things with that tier 1 exchange to get them in, but they are giving us really good indications of their readiness presently. And I apologize for the noise in the background. The neighbor has chosen to mow their lawn today. So if that's going over me a little bit, I apologize. So as far as the other 4 exchanges go, we did have some very specific questions about where we were in the process. So I'm going to talk about each one. We cannot divulge the names, but I can tell you kind of vaguely, where we are. We have signed agreements with all 4 of those exchanges. We have integrated the consensus chain with all 4 of those exchanges, and we have tested. We have the project level, so that would be for the autonomous network, KYB completed for each. Now, this is KYB for the Swiss Foundation, who, of course, is launching the token or has launched the token at this point. We also were required to have trading accounts on each of these exchanges, and this should be informational for people who don't know. When a project is launching, you need to have an account on each of those exchanges where you must deposit a non-liquid security deposit. And that is for obvious reasons. There's been a lot of scams in our space, and they want to make sure that you're putting your money behind this. So we have to open accounts. That is an additional level of KYB, KYC to open an account on the platform, separate from the KYB and KYC that is required for the project. We've had some additional time required, and this is mainly for increased regulatory scrutiny for exchanges that do business in the United States. So we are going to have US liquidity at launch. That is the plan, but it takes a little more work, as you can imagine. There is also one major exchange in Asia that is just doing a final internal review of the account opening. But again, the KYB for the project is done. The launch of the token is approved. This is just the trading account that we have to open to make our security deposit. That's where the exchanges stand today. As far as liquidity goes, we have signed agreements and tested integrations with 2 of what I would consider to be the top 3 market makers in the space. Everyone knows there's been a lot of press, I guess you could say, about market makers, the process, the potential disruption they can cause. So to ensure that we were providing the best liquidity sources possible, we did partner with 2 of the top 3 in the space, which we will be talking about. They have both been fully integrated to the consensus chain. The agreements have been signed. The KYB is complete. They are ready to provide liquidity the moment the exchange trading goes live. For anyone who would like to kind of follow along a little bit more granularly and see how those fundings are taking place for the market makers, the exchanges, the foundation wallets that we've designated for liquidity provisioning are publicly disclosed and available in our docs on the website. So anyone can monitor the transfers as this liquidity is prepared for deployment. That's really all I have to say regarding the details. But again, just thanking everyone for their patience as we get through this process to finalize the listings. And again, every step that we've taken is to protect the integrity of the process and ensure that there's adequate liquidity for both buyers and sellers. The foundation is urgently exploring additional staking incentives programs for those that choose to hold, but we still must have strong liquidity in the event that people do not want to hold. But you can rest assured that the network is 100% ready. Consensus has been stable since the end of 2024, as you're aware. Transfers were enabled on mainnet last month, and now Auto EVM is live. So with what is under our control essentially complete, our focus shifts to fully building the best AI infrastructure in Web3 and creating long-term value for the project and, of course, the token holders. So as summer closes, just know we are eager to get back to product development and deliver a top-tier project that is worthy of both our technology and our community. And as always, we thank you for being a part of this journey with us, and we will continue to keep you posted as things progress. Jim.
Thanks, Todd. Really great comprehensive breakdown of the exact status. I'm hoping that leaves no questions from the community. It is obviously a very hot topic. But yeah, as you mentioned, Auto EVM, Todd, which is how I'm going to segue into this next segment, because I'm going to give everyone a bit of context about what we're here for today, because of course domains is the heart of today's call. If you've been following along in the community, you've probably heard us use the term domains a lot, but what exactly are they? Why do they matter? And what do they unlock for the future of the autonomous network? Let's start with the basics. So domains, they are decoupled execution environments. They are our answer to the limitations of monolithic blockchain architecture. Rather than forcing every transaction, contract, or application to compete for space on a single global state machine, we've built a model where execution is offloaded to separate environments, domains. They are optimized for scalability, composability, and specialization. You can think of domains as native sovereign layer 2 chains, L2s, but with a few key differences. First, they're tightly integrated with our consensus layer, which of course is powered by proof of archival storage, our novel consensus. Second, they're incredibly lightweight to spin up. Creating a domain is as simple as submitting a transaction on the consensus chain, as I experienced earlier this week. Third, the protocol supports unlimited domains. Thanks to that decoupled architecture, there's no bottleneck. Whether you're a developer launching a custom domain for a specific use case or a team deploying a shared execution environment like Auto EVM, the protocol is designed to scale horizontally to accommodate it. And of course, you can see that in action in the great under the hood video that we have up on our YouTube. Right, what does that mean in practice? Well, it means a few key things. If we zoom out for a second and talk about the actors that make all this work. At the foundation of Autonomous is, of course, our consensus layer, which is powered by farmers. Farmers are storage-first participants. They commit real hardware, real disk to provably store and serve data. They provide consensus for the entire network by archiving the chain and producing proofs of storage that validate the integrity of the system. They don't perform smart contract execution. Instead, they rely on a second class of network participants, operators. Operators are compute-oriented. They run the virtual machines like Auto EVM and process transactions. Operators are responsible for producing execution receipts and propagating state changes from the domain to the consensus layer. Importantly, operators coordinate with the farmer network, inheriting finality and security guarantees from the consensus layer. This separation of roles allows us to scale the network without compromising on decentralization or verifiability. And of course, anyone who's familiar with the blockchain trilemma are going to recognize these phrases I'm using here. Operators are required to stake to participate, and their stake is slashable in the event of misbehavior. This ensures that the system remains secure and accountable even as more and more domains come online. But operators don't act alone. Anyone in the community can become a nominator. They do that by staking their tokens behind an operator they trust. And this creates a delegated security model where participants share in the transaction fees that operators earn, minus a commission they take to run their operations, the operator tax. We're going to be walking through how to nominate an operator later in the call, in fact, in the next segment with Jeremy. But the key takeaway is staking is now live. If you're holding AI3, this is your opportunity to help secure the network and earn rewards. Okay, let's talk about builders. Domains aren't just a performance optimization. Sorry, my machine has just decided to, what is it doing? I didn't expect this bit to go wrong. Okay, an invitation to innovate, of course they are. They allow for application-specific changes, tailored runtimes, and experimentation that might be risky or impractical on a shared execution layer. And while we're starting with the Autonomous Labs deployed Auto EVM domain, the goal is to support a vibrant ecosystem of custom domains over time. We've already uploaded the EVM runtime, registered the domain, and deployed Auto EVM to mainnet. That means starting today, you can deploy smart contracts, test dApps, and interact with the Autonomous network using familiar EVM tooling like MetaMask, Foundry, and Hardhat. And I know that the eagle-eyed members of our community have seen that actually this came up on Monday. And you know, I really love seeing the excitement about seeing contracts being deployed. Okay, that launch of domains unlocks more than just infrastructure. It opens the door to, as you can see in the slide there, Safe, our multi-sig and account abstraction solution, a wrapped AI3, so WAI3, which is ERC20 compatible. That means that the token can be used for DeFi integrations with existing apps that can be deployed, and a bridge to Ethereum and other networks for cross-chain asset movement. We are also in touch with the team at the Graph so that we can add support for mainnet, Auto EVM. We already have that on Taurus, and we're going to be adding mainnet to that tool set. And of course, this sets the stage for a fully composable, interoperable on-chain ecosystem, one where users, developers, and agents can interact seamlessly across consensus and domain layers. So, to recap, farmers secure the network with disk space and storage proofs. Operators execute transactions on domains and stake AI3 to participate. Nominators support their favorite operators and share in the fees they earn. Builders can now deploy EVM contracts and leverage tooling on mainnet via Auto EVM. And everyone benefits from a more scalable, flexible, and future-ready execution model. This is the architecture we've been working towards, for years. And now that it's live, we're just scratching the surface of what's possible. Auto EVM is just the beginning. Over time, we'll see DeFi, identity, gaming, and even AI-specific domains begin to emerge, each secured by storage, powered by autonomy, and owned by the community. So whether you're a builder, a staker, or just someone curious about where this is all going, this is your invitation to take part. Domains are live. Let's see what you build. Okay, particularly relevant to the information we just covered, we'll have Jeremy demonstrating that staking process, and then Emil's going to walk us through deploying and executing transactions on Auto EVM. But before I hand over, I want to give an extra special shout out to Jeremy and all the engineers who have put their blood, sweat, and tears into taking domains from the whiteboard to where we are today, deployed on mainnet. This is truly a monumental milestone, and the software engineer in me is just seriously impressed. Well done to everyone who contributed. and I salute you all. I actually really do. Jeremy, do you want to
Yeah,
run through?
it's appreciated, Jim, and it's a lot of engineering work has gone into getting us where we are. I'm quite excited. Monday as we watched the first mainnet EVM go live, it was quite kind of a surreal moment for us. So, all right, I have my screen shared there. Jim, do you want to? While we're getting the screen share kind of set up, I just want a reminder that while Auto EVM is live, we're doing this kind of in a staged way. So we've launched Auto EVM with a permissioned operator set, which is currently 2 operators that are being run internally. So operator 0 and 1. As we've talked in the past, our engineering roadmap includes a progressive decentralization and permissionlessness of operators. Before we do that, before we go full permissionless operators, we want further testing kind of on the staking process and operator process. This will be done via further game of domains contests that will be starting on our upcoming testnet. In the meantime, our community can still participate, and they can do that via nomination, which is what I am going to attempt to show now. So it's a little bit, we're going to be using Polka.js, and Polka.js is not the best UX. We do have really good documentation on this process, and hopefully this will help as well going through this live. But rest assured, we are working on a better portal than Polka.js. So this should be out at least in alpha version soon. I hope I'll be demoing it actually on Monday on the DevSync. So for those who want to see an early preview of that, tune in for our DevSync. All right, so in order to nominate an operator, you have to go to the Polka.js for Autonomys mainnet. You see that here. You go to the developer tab. If you're doing a transaction, you're going to go to extrinsic. So that's where we are now. You'll need to select from here, domains. In here, there's a lot of different things you can do. All the different extrinsics or transactions that you can do on the domains palette are here. The one we're looking for is quite obviously named as nominate operator. So once you're here, you select an operator to nominate. There are currently only 2 options. You have to put in a 0 or a 1. On this case, I'm going to nominate operator 0. This operator has a minimum of 5. We'll do 10. You do have to put this in as in Shannon units. So it's 10 times 10 to the 18th. So 10 with 18 zeros. I should have done this ahead of time. 4, 5, 6. Yep. So once you've got this in place, always double check. With so many zeros, you could be off there. You don't want to mess that up. But we will submit the transaction. This is done. You can see the transactions here, waiting for it to be done. It's always a bit of a nerve-wracking step. It's done. Okay. So did anything happen? It's hard to tell from here. Where you can go to tell, and this is actually a newer feature, is you can go to runtime calls. I don't want to say that. Runtime calls. And in here, you're going to be looking for domains API. Within domains API, you want to go and find nominator position. And here you just put in what nominator you want to look up the position for and what account. So this is going to find our demo account position. We submit that. And what you'll see here is actually some good detail. I had already staked 5. When you stake, 20% of your stake is actually going to a storage fund. That storage fund is used to pay for the storage of bundles on mainnet. So you'll see here, I've got 4 AI3 staked, right, currently. Total shares, you don't really need to worry about that. And you can see actually what your storage fee deposit is as well. The storage fee deposit actually goes in immediately. It doesn't go into pending, it immediately moves over. However, when you have nominated, you actually have to wait for the next epoch, which happens every 100 domain blocks. So you'll see here we have a pending deposit of 8 AI3. Again, that's the 80% that isn't going to storage. And that this will become effective in epoch 240, which I don't know exactly where we are on that, but we'll check back on this hopefully during the call and see that this pending deposit will have moved into current staked value. So this is a much improved view into the runtime. Before there was the way this happens under the hood is with lazy evaluation, which makes it very difficult to actually derive from externally. But now that we've added this to the runtime, it makes this much easier to get a view of your current position. While we wait for that, and I'm not sure that this will update while I'm still speaking, but I'll monitor it during the call. There is an obvious question. We're asking you guys to jump on here, nominate our operators, but why would you want to nominate an operator? Well, it's to earn funds, obviously, right? So as a nominator, you're going to earn part of the transaction fees that are being earned by that operator. But that does come with kind of an obvious thing that's been pointed out by many in our community, which is while we're bootstrapping the network, there's not a lot of activity. So what am I earning when I'm nominating? And this was a great question, right? This is when there's very little fees, obviously the yield is going to be quite low in nominated an operator. So to that end, and this has been brought up several times by community members and has been heard, and something that we've been working through actually for quite a while now, is how do we incentivize nomination during bootstrapping of the network? So I will say we don't have this finalized yet, but the foundation is evaluating ways to incentivize nomination. And we'll do this actually right out of our treasury, as many chains do during the bootstrap phase. What I will say is that stay tuned, and very soon we will be, as we finalize the details of that, we'll be giving out this information to the community. So why don't we just check and see. Okay, this happened during. So the epoch has transitioned, and you can now see that that 8 has moved into the current staked value, and now you can see that the value is now staked. I will give just a quick preview of what is coming. So this is actually what it will look like in the kind of new staking portal. It's not really beautiful, but it's certainly better than Polkadot.js, and it will give you kind of insight into the operators, how much is staked, tax, min stake. You'll be able to stake right from here, be able to look in and see details and such. So come back for DevSync and hopefully get to show a whole process there. All right.
Thanks, Jeremy. So there's I'm looking forward to getting my hands on the new staking portal. It does look lovely and clean, and the nominator position. I think that's really testament, isn't it, to try and reduce the opacity around kind of what's going on, because it is actually quite complicated. You need to go into the protocol specs to really understand everything that's going on, and it is quite complicated.
To speak to that just real quick, the reason it's so complicated is we were going for scalability here, and lazy evaluation of kind of nominator positions and operator positions was a way for us to be able to scale and have kind of infinite number of nominators theoretically for any operator. If anybody remembers from Stake Wars 1, we had a hard limit on how many nominators could be allocated to an operator. And so that was worked through, but it did not leave a beautiful UX. So we're looking to do things, obviously, to improve that UX.
Jeremy, is it safe to say that the new staking interface will be orders of magnitude easier than the esteemed Polkadot.js, which, while ever powerful, is kind of like the Rubik's browser of Web3 that we would like to simplify. So it would be more traditional, putting in units, clicking stake, and so forth, without everything that you had to go through there.
Absolutely, and it'll give a better view as to where you are, like what your positions are, what you have pending, what you have, when pending are going to move from pending to actionable. Anybody who's had to try and unlock funds in that process of withdrawal, which I'm not going to go through, nobody needs to be withdrawing at this point. So, but that process also will be much more transparent, as you'll see when your funds are going to be available to unlock. If you've got multiple unlocks happening, they'll aggregate up into one transaction, and you'll be able to just claim your funds. So that I don't know, Jim, if you played around with a test version of that before, but I think it's much improved to even what we had seen in Astral. So.
Yeah, absolutely. The experience was really great, and just having it in that like unified kind of UX there. So I'm not sure. I don't going to necessarily defend Polkadot.js, but it's functional. It does feel like a back-end dev wrote a front-end application there. And of course, the tricky bit is that you have to have a deeper understanding of the protocol, whereas the staking interface that Jeremy's that Jeremy just kind of gave us a really quick preview of, it guides you, so you don't need to understand the protocol. You know that you're there to stake some tokens, or you want to initiate a withdrawal or an unstake, but you just don't need to know all the kind of the functions that you need to call, which you would if you use Polkadot. Functional, that's how I'd describe Polkadot. I think that's a fair way to characterize it. And on that note, if you're catching up later or after the call, I'm going to post links. So links that I've just picked up to add here are Polkadot.js staking guide, which actually was created by a community member. A wonderful contribution there. And I'm also going to drop the storage fee primer link as well, in case people are not sure why they stake 10 tokens and then they see 8 as their stake. That you still have them all staked, they just go to a slightly different place. So I'll add those. I'm also going to add developer docs, because if we're done, Jeremy, I'm going to hand over to Emil. So yeah, if you're catching up later on, look below, you'll find all the links that you need to get up and running on these, because Emil's going to show us in practice what Auto EVM is, and give us an example of it working. Is that right, Emil?
That is absolutely right. Hi everyone, and exciting day today is a new layer is becoming available for developers on mainnet, Auto EVM. Yeah, as Jim mentioned, in a few seconds I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to walk you through the few steps that usually is involved when deploying the smart contract on the Auto EVM. We'll go through everything from finding out the Auto EVM RPC, connected to it via the MetaMask, setting up Remix IDE, writing the smart contract and deploying it on the Auto EVM. And of course, then we'll have a look at the successful contract creation on via the Block Explorer, which is also available for you. If you've been with us for some time, you might have seen this already, but on our previous testnets. And this is our tradition to deploy simple smart contract live on the call as a celebration of the EVM domain launch. And without further ado, let me share my screen and walk you through all the steps that I just mentioned. First, we can proceed to the developer hub, which is available at develop.autonomous.xyz. If you haven't been on that portal before, this is the hub for all developers, for all the builders on the Autonomous network. Over here, you can find the most up-to-date guides on all the things that are available for builders. So you see that we have some application examples. We have information documentation on the Autonomous Agents framework, on the Auto SDK, of course, and all the tools that are available for if you're using the Auto SDK. And we have a dedicated section for the Auto EVM. And as you know, all the tooling which is already available for the EVM developers, like Remix, like Foundry, Hardhat, all this tooling that EVM developers are familiar with, it's also available on the Autonomous network for the Auto EVM. So you don't need to learn any new tools. You just go straight ahead, use the Solidity, and deploy your smart contracts, and simple as that. So we're gonna go to the intro section of the Auto EVM. Scroll a little bit to the bottom, where you can find information about the RPCs. So we do have 2 Auto EVM instances running, but today, of course, we're going to be using the RPC for the Auto EVM on the mainnet. And then I'm going to go and open my MetaMask extension, and I'm going to go ahead and add a new custom network. The name of the network you can type manually, and we'll type the Auto EVM. I'll provide the RPC URL, which I just copied from the documentation. The chain ID for the Auto EVM is 870, but you will see that as soon as you start typing, you will see the suggestion coming up. And we'll provide the currency symbol, which is the AI3. And I'll click on Save. Then I can switch to the Auto EVM. As you can see, right now I've connected to the Auto EVM with the MetaMask. So everything is ready for me, to go to the Remix IDE and start deploying my smart contract. As I mentioned, we have a few guides available for you. So even if you're not familiar with the EVM development, these guides are very easy, very straightforward, and easy to follow. So we specifically create these guides for those who have zero experience, so they can just follow all the guides, all the steps. You can copy the same kind of smart contract to get familiar with how they work and with what's required to deploy and test them. And here we have an example of a very simple smart contract. It's called counter, and essentially what it has 4 functions. The first function allows us to set the number to a specific value. Then we have 2 functions. One is increase, which increases this value by 1, and decrease, which decreases this value by 1. And of course, we have a special get function, which allows us to query that number and get this information from the smart contract. So I've just copied the smart contract, and we can go to the Remix IDE. Remix IDE is available at remix.ethereum.org. And over here, I just created the blend template for the smart contract, and I copied the smart contract from the developer hub. Then we need to compile it. I see the Pragma Solidity version which I'm using is 0.8.19. So when picking the Solidity compiler version, I make sure that these 2 uses the same version, and I can compile the smart contract. And as simple as that, it's now compiled and ready to be deployed on the Auto EVM. In order to deploy it on the Auto EVM, I'll go to the deploy and run transaction section in the Remix. And in an environment, I choose the injected provider via the MetaMask. And as you remember, we've just connected to the Auto EVM via MetaMask by providing the custom RPC. So that means that we are connected to the Auto EVM. Based on that information here, it seems like something might have not worked correctly. So let me just go ahead and switch to the Auto EVM here. And yeah, now it picked up the correct chain. So now we have the matching balances, as you can see on the wallet. So that means that we are indeed deploying the contract to Auto EVM. And I can click on deploy. I'll get a pop-up to confirm the gas fees for this smart contract deployment. And yeah, we'll see the magic happening. In just a few moments, we should see the confirmation. Perfect. Let me just enlarge this one. As you can see, yeah, the smart contract has been deployed to the network, and now appeared at the bottom at the deployed contract session of Remix. Let's go ahead and test if the functions are working as we expect. So let's set the value to, let's say, 7. We'll get another pop-up because every transaction which modifies the state requires a payment of the gas fees. It's going to take just a very few brief moments in order to set the value. And now we see the return in the logs. We will call the get function and check if the number has been sent correctly. And yes, I will set it to 7, and now we see that we're getting 7 back. Let's also test if we can modify the state of the contract by calling an increase function. We'll get another confirmation window and confirm another transaction. It's also going to take a very few moments. Now we see the successful return from the smart contract. And now, since we called increased, if I click on get, we should see that the state has changed to 8, and that's indeed correct. Let's also briefly call decrease to see that we can modify the state both ways. Yeah, and it was quite fast. So now when I call get, I should be getting 7 back. Yeah, and as you can see, we've been able to increase and decrease the value of the smart contract. So all the functions are working as expected. And of course, we have the block explorer, Auto EVM block explorer, which is available for you, to be able to see whether the contract has been successfully created and all the things happening with your smart contract. The link will be in the video's bio. It's available at explorer.auto-evm.mainnet.autonomous.xyz. And yeah, here as you can see, we've made a bunch of calls, starting with the contract creation, which was successful 2 minutes ago, and a bunch of changes with the setting the number, increasing the number, and decreasing the number. So over here you can see and all the transaction details on the things that we've done to the smart contract. So everything's working as expected. Yeah, really great to see it coming into life on the mainnet, on the consensus chain. All right, now our smart contract is deployed on the Auto EVM mainnet. And now we're really looking forward to what you are going to build on Auto EVM. Whether you're working on DeFi protocols, NFT marketplaces, game applications, or something completely different, Auto EVM gives you the familiar Ethereum developer experience with the performance and scalability of autonomous network. And here's what I encourage you to do next. First, of course, get building. Deploy your smart contracts. Start working on the dApps. The developer documentation has everything to get you started. Second, apply for grants. If you have ideas about the tooling that can benefit the ecosystem, definitely apply to the Subspace Foundation grants. We're actually looking to support innovative projects. And last but not the least, join the community. Connect with other developers on Discord or Telegram. Share what you're building, ask questions, and collaborate. And with that, thank you for joining us today, and happy building. So we're back to you, Jim.
Thanks, Emil. So what Emil just demonstrated, Emil, could you just go back to Remix a sec? So absolutely. Really, what Emil's just really brought into focus there, what I was trying to explain at the start. So hopefully this makes sense to everyone. So Emil's submitting a transaction. He's a builder, one of the actors we were talking about. That transaction goes off to operators. Operators speak to the farmers who are providing consensus. They're verifying the bundle of transactions that the operator wants to execute. The operator takes the verified bundle of transactions, executes it, and then sorry, I missed out a step, of course. The operator gets paid by Emil. The operator gets the transaction fee, and maybe Jeremy, because he nominated that operator, maybe it was operator 0 who he nominated earlier, he's actually going to get a portion of the transaction fee that Emil just paid. And then finally, that whole transaction all the transactions that Emil just submitted, they end up in farmer plots. So it was as you were going through, Emil, it was a really great example of tying everything from the domains primer together. But of course, if anything's not clear, always about if there are any questions. Yeah, and there's a dedicated developer chat in Discord, isn't there, Emil, where we'd love to see questions, or just tell us about what you're building.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thanks, Emil. I probably missed out a step there, but that was great. Thank you. Okay, next up, Peter, are you going to give us? I feel like Todd's probably given us like the main bulk of the exchanges update, but do you want to give us an update on how Auto EVM relates to it and everything else we have going on with exchanges?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Jim and Emil. That was great. That was fantastic. I think, if you're joining the community, you want to be involved in building out some cool things on Autonomys, there is no shortage of developer support that you will be able to receive. So that's something that, we really pride ourselves on building, is that community, that support level, to be able to support any type of builders, to support any type of DApps that you want to build on Autonomys. So to get back to, kind of the exchanges, our go-to-market, and how essentially the Auto EVM, or rather the launch of the Auto EVM domain, has slightly changed a little bit of the strategy. There's probably three major points here that I'd like to cover. And, folks have covered a little bit of these topics in the previous sections here. But number one, I think it's important to note that, us being a sovereign L1, one of the big things is interoperability, right? We want to be able to work closely with other networks. We want to be able to try to find, other community members, other developers and builders in other network that might be looking at our network as a possible solution. And that kind of opens the doors for it, right? We felt that the Ethereum virtual machine environment is probably the most compatible and probably the most widespread use of all networks, at least currently today. It's where all the tooling exists, is where all the infrastructure that people are familiar with exists. And as a result of that, we decided to launch our Auto EVM domain a little bit ahead of schedule. And what this opens up, as we mentioned before, is access to that ecosystem grant, right? We want an environment where people are coming in, they're familiar with what they're building. Maybe they've built some really cool platforms and tools and DApps and other networks. They want to bring it over. That's fantastic as well. We welcome all types of DApps in our network. So that opens up the ecosystem grants for the EVM domain on day one, right? That's number one. Number two as well is obviously when we're looking at the exchanges, our go-to-market, our access to market, liquidity, it makes the most sense to start with Ethereum. That's where, a lot of the major traffic has been. They've been, working on that since 2016. We know what they can do. So that's the first step. And obviously, as we start to scale the network, as we start to develop it in the long run, it's not going to be the only network that we open up, right? We'll be looking at all these other ones as well, right? So as we start to get traction on the EVM domain, we'll start to evaluate what makes the most sense after EVM as well. Maybe that's Base, maybe it's, Binance Smart Chain, maybe it's whatever. We'll let the market decide that. We'll let the developers decide that, and we'll get to that point eventually. And how this essentially impacts exchanges as well is in our work right now in terms of the integration, in terms of, a lot of these contracts that we're building out with the exchanges. There will be a few that will be listing AI3 on the EVM side, meaning you can both buy and sell on consensus or EVM based on your, let's call it preference, right? I can probably say with certainty that the 5 exchanges that Tom mentioned earlier, I imagine that probably covers a lot of accounts that you already have. I'm pretty certain that a lot of the community members, you guys probably already have accounts within these exchanges. And one of the final things that we're doing right now, and we're pretty close to solidifying it all, is once we actually list on day one, what are things that people can do on exchanges besides just transferring their AI3 to these wallets and participating in the market. These exchanges will be launching their own specific, let's call it marketing campaigns that incentivizes users. I can give a description of one. I'm sure you guys are familiar with a lot of these programs, particularly if you're participating in TGEs and day one listings or other tokens. But essentially, we can take a look at staking opportunities, non-native staking opportunities within the exchanges that typically have generally a little bit higher yield due to trying to bootstrap users into the new network. We can look at potentially launch pools, right? So a combination of, you stake, either the exchange token alongside AI3 or alongside some sort of stable coin parent. And in return, you'll be able to generate yield based based on how much you pull in, right? So these are the things that we're looking at, and we're pretty excited to potentially be looking at these within 2 weeks' time. Again, the major thing to note, I kind of understand that everyone wants to know the date of all of these, but we cannot announce the listings first. The exchanges will announce the listings first. That is built into the contract. There's no way around that. In fact, if we announce it first, that could potentially even jeopardize our listing with the exchange. So this is something that we have to follow very stringently, and we will follow that with all due process. And I believe Todd wanted to say something. I'm just about finishing up here as well, Todd.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. I just wanted to make one point of clarification. Peter explained that very well. We have the EVM, we have the consensus, but just so that we're crystal clear, it's not two tokens. It is the same native token. It can just be XDM, cross-domain messaged, from the consensus chain to the EVM domain, but it is the same token. So just like you go on an exchange today and maybe you trade ETH, you're trading ETH. You don't have to pick, I'm trading it on Optimism, Arbitrum, mainnet. It's all handled within their platform. So it's not as though there's going to be two separate listings or anything like that. Where it will come into play is just like with other tokens, when you go to withdraw the native token to the chain, on some you will have the option to withdraw to the consensus chain, which would be the substrate chain, and then potentially withdraw to the EVM, which of course would be an ERC20 style address. So just to clarify those that it's not an EVM token versus a mainnet token. It's all the same token. It's just a matter of where it currently lives. And it's easier, as you can imagine, for some exchanges that want to use an RPC on the EVM, because as Peter alluded to, the tooling for that already exists and it's a little easier. But others have gone ahead and integrated the native substrate RPC as well. But just a little point to clarify there, but you explained it very well, Peter. Thank you.
Yeah, and one final point actually. So, obviously with us moving the EVM domain launch up a little bit early, what that means is now, once we do the initial day one listing, that gives us an opportunity to provide on-chain liquidity on some sort of DEX as well on a EVM environment. So that's something that we're currently exploring alongside our market makers as well. And that's it for me. I'll bring it back to Jim.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks for that. Yeah, so it definitely, we've got a bigger surface, haven't we? We've got more options. EVM opens the door to a lot of compatible integrations. Not just exchanges, of course. Okay, right. Randy, up next. Randy, are you ready? You're gonna give us a quick rundown and reminder of our Dawn of Autonomy campaigns? You'll have to, if you give me a shout when you want me to roll the slide.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and roll the first slide. Okay, thank you, Jim. So does anyone want some free AI3 tokens? We have a couple of contests going on. Let's talk about the first two here. A couple weeks ago, Emil introduced these. We have the Spark and Seed Challenge. And these are a couple ways that you can earn some tokens. Let's do the next slide, Jim. So the Spark Challenge, that one is where you will transfer one AI3 to your friend. You can invite them to the Zilli space and ask them to complete the onboarding quest. And when you do this, you'll be entered into, think of it like a ticket to a drawing. And we'll be giving out a total of 15,000 AI3 for this. And there'll be 100 draws. The first 10,000 will be given out. And then the top three participants here will get 2,500, 1,500, and 1,000 AI3. So this is a great, easy way to get people involved in the project and get yourself some AI3. Next slide, Jim. Okay, the other challenge, the Seed Challenge, is a little bit different here. We can learn a little bit about how the decentralized storage network works with AutoDrive. And you basically just upload your vision of the future to the AutoDrive. We've got a 1 megabyte limit, and then you should share that campaign with your friends to spread the seeds. And again, here we'll be giving out quite a bit of AI3, 20,000 AI3 via 200 draws. And I don't know that I haven't heard the latest stats on how many participants we have, but the last I did hear is that we have a lot of spots open here. So this could be an easy way to get some tokens. So I really encourage you guys to check them out. Kind of another side thing we have with this is we are minting NFTs. And as participating in this, we'll get you some of these cool looking NFTs. So yeah, great thing. The next thing, the last contest we have is this Node Atlas Challenge. And unfortunately, we haven't seen a whole lot of entries here. And I think this is kind of a cool one. I don't know if anyone has, well, I know some people have, but if everyone hasn't checked out the telemetry page, and maybe, Jim, you can link that in the chat. But on the telemetry page, you've got a bunch of different tabs for all the different networks that we've run, but it'll default to the mainnet one. And we have some little icons in the right-hand side, and one of them is kind of like a little map icon. If you click that, it allows you to see geographically where all the nodes are in the whole world. So it's kind of a cool little interactive interface. You can look at different cities, see how many node counts there are in each one. And that's what this contest is all about. It's becoming a node detective. And your mission is to become that detective by discovering and sharing interesting facts, patterns, or unique characteristics about the nodes in our network. And you want to be creative, find something intriguing that others have missed. Go ahead, next slide, Jim. So basically, yeah, you investigate, use these tools to explore that node data, find something interesting, prepare a clear explanation of what you found, why it's interesting, and then post your discovery to the general chat channel in Discord with the hashtag Node Atlas Challenge. Next one, Jim. Here's a couple categories. The lonely node, find the most isolated node. And I'm just looking at the chart now, and I see kind of one in Africa that's just kind of not around anything else. So that's kind of an interesting one. Node party hotspot. Look at all the dense nodes. I see quite a few different areas of the country where we just have a lot of nodes there. Time travelers. You can see the ones that are crossing the date lines. Height society, elevation extremes, node neighbors, find nodes near famous places. So there's all sorts of ways to slice and dice this and come up with interesting concepts here. Next slide. So as far as the rewards, first place, $100 USDC and exclusive NFT. Second place will be $75 and third place is $50. All of these will also get you the Autonaut NFTs, and winners will be chosen based on creativity and originality, technical insight, and fun factor. There we go. Please participate. I don't know if we've had any entries in this contest yet, so there's an easy way to get some AI3. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if people are holding back on that. Hold them back until the last minute. We do tend to get worried. But it's wide open. Plenty of opportunity to. Can you hear me?
You're cutting out, Jim.
Something with your audio, Jim. Yeah, you're kind of muffled in there. Sounds okay now.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah, maybe the beard kind of got in the way of the microphone or something.
Yeah, apologies about that. It does need a bit of a trim, to be fair. Okay, I lost my thread there. Yeah, so yeah, maybe people are holding off until the last minute to submit. We do see that on some contests, but it does mean that it's wide open. There's less entries means a greater likelihood that you're going to win. So yeah, we'll get those entries in. And yes, Randy, I will put links to the forum posts with all the rules, everything you just covered for Spark and Seed, Node Atlas Challenge, and the telemetry map. You need to remember to click on that little pin icon to see the map. So hopefully sounds still okay. Okay, right. So I've jumped the slide early. There's a Q&A section. Right, Jeremy, you're up first. You're trying to distract me in the chat, I see. So Jeremy, do you want to take this first question? It's about operators. Are you all right to read the question out, or do you want me to play questioner?
I could read. You can play questioner either way. So all right. So the question is, and I've got to make sure I understand it, because I know there's translation issues that we all have with such a global community base. But so we've launched an official first operator. That is where staking is currently happening. I mean, what's that going to mean for third-party operators? So this is where the translation is a little rough. Based on trust in the official platform, do they have advantages? So do third-party operators have advantages, and how will they attract users to pledge? So I think I understand the question here is being, where are third-party operators going to play into this, when, maybe, and how will they attract pledge if we've got official ones as well? Obviously, we want to expand. Decentralization and permissionlessness are two key values of the network, and so we don't want to be running, to put this, I guess, in Ethereum layer 2, maybe. We don't want a single sequencer or the one point of failure. We want to have lots and lots of participation in operating and validating and executing on transactions. But we want to do this in a reasonable kind of way. As I said before, we want to make sure that fraud proofs are fully tested, and that this has just been vetted, much like we've been doing recently with the first game of domains. And we did find issues, and running large scale networks is the best way to find issues, and we'd rather do that on test nets than on mainnet. So it's background with that. Where do third party nodes come into play? Right now, if they're not operators, well, having more RPCs is definitely helpful to the network. We are running some RPCs, but that is permissionless. Anybody can run an RPC, and so it's something you can do with your operator node while we are kind of until the operator allow list opens up. And then, looking forward, how are people going to attract nomination? Well, I think there's basically two levers. Your operator, but at the end, it comes down to one lever: your APY that you deliver to the to those that who are nominating. That has some levers, right? Like, is your uptime 100%? If you're missing bundles, then over time you're going to not earn as much as competing operators. And then tax. So what's the net that's going to get to the end user? So that's it.
Thanks, Jeremy. And that question was from Ching Lizzie. We've got some great questions today, but everyone's shy, so a lot are from Anon. Okay, so I'm up next. So could we consider providing additional incentives to stakers funded by the foundation in the early stages? We actually had this question a couple of times. I'm not going to read out all of them, but rephrased in slightly different ways. So yes, as Jeremy mentioned earlier, we are working through what that might look like. We have listened to the feedback from the community. We've seen, our very first AIP suggested something along these lines, needed a bit of refinement. But we've also seen it as a theme that's come up in Discord a couple of times as well. All I can say at the moment is we're going to provide updates when the plan is finalised. We want to make a commitment. We want there to be a reason for people to stake while the transaction throughput, or the load, I should say, is bootstrapped. So yeah, watch for announcements. We don't have a timeline. There's no point keep asking when. We will try and get to that as quickly as possible, because obviously we want people to stake. Great question, thank you, Peter. We've got another. The next question is about collaboration with exchanges.
Yes, absolutely. So let's take a look at this question. Should collaborate with exchanges to allow users to complete staking on the exchange, preferably with some activities offering additional rewards to stakers to enhance attractiveness? Yes. So as we mentioned, each of the exchanges that we will be working with will come with their own set of different campaigns. As this user alluded to, there will be staking incentive campaigns. There will be other activities as well that will allow new users to earn AI3. Again, these are kind of your typical exchange activities for day one listings. Everyone should be familiar with them, and we're happy to kick them off as soon as we can get to them.
Thanks, Peter. Next question for Todd, and it's from Baron Lilly. Someone has put their name in.
Yep. Just very quickly, I think I answered this in great detail. Baron Lilly says they totally respect the NDA, but after all this time, could you at least confirm whether anything has actually been signed? This is in regards to exchanges, of course. Is a listing guaranteed, or are things in negotiation? Just want to know if something is really happening, not just hopeful vibes. As I had mentioned, we are beyond agreements. We are beyond hopeful vibes. We are even in most cases beyond integration. And at this point, we're even beyond the KYB of the project, but just doing the KYC of the foundation's account to deposit the security into. So I assure you the process is very far along. But unfortunately, as I mentioned, we are held to kind of the lowest common denominator here. If there's one exchange that needs to, get caught up, all the ones that are ready have to wait. And again, we are working on the onboarding of a tier 1 exchange, which we think is going to be critical to a successful launch, but we will keep you posted as this goes on.
Thanks, Todd. Okay, I know we're over time, so we're trying to be quick here. Next one, another anon. Can you share any updates on the status of the Ethereum mainnet bridge? Will there be a repository at subspace/autonomous GitHub where we can observe progress? Congrats on launching domains. First of all, thanks very much for the congratulations. It is a massive achievement, and yeah, we're all very proud. So we actually, community members have already spotted that Hyperlane contracts have been deployed. So the updates are that, yes, it's underway. There is a lead time on setting up the back end. So the contracts get deployed, then there's some relaying. The relayers need setting up and configuring. This is all the same process that we went through on Taurus where we tested it. We did get those contracts deployed very quickly. Better than my expectations. So things should be going as smoothly as possible. We will provide updates when it's ready, but it's underway. And yeah, you can check out the contracts if you can find them, that you'll be able to see them in Block Scout. Okay,
can I add something right there real quickly? Sorry. Just for the people that maybe don't follow along to the same level of technical detail, what Jim is saying is, you can XDM your token from the consensus chain to the EVM. You can then wrap that token for Ethereum, creating a wrapped AI3, which you can then bridge to Ethereum. So that is where DEX liquidity will take place when the token is wrapped and bridged to Ethereum. So just an extra little piece of explanation in there for people that maybe aren't as technical and haven't been following along with the contracts on the Hyperlane bridge. So that's kind of how the whole process will follow.
Thanks, Todd. That's a great point. Actually, I think we missed this out as well. There is an XDM channel open, as I'm not sure we covered that earlier. So you can take your consensus AI3, your testnet rewards, your mainnet farming rewards. You can put them on as native Auto EVM AI3. And once that bridge is up, you'll be able to take them on to Ethereum, as Todd says. Yeah, probably I got a bit caught up in the low level there. Okay, we've got some quick fire, some great technical questions. Jeremy, I'm
gonna compile these into one just in the interest of time. So that I think really what these questions boil down to are around is the Auto EVM's compatibility with Ethereum. How similar is it to Ethereum? First, we're not imposing any extra technical or technical restrictions beyond what's on Ethereum, which are none. It's permissionless. You can deploy contracts just like you would on Ethereum. There's no restrictions on that. There's no contract addresses or namespaces that are reserved at this point. We do have some pre-compiles that are inherited from Ethereum. There's a couple of extra, and we will have some in the future, but those future ones don't really have like reserved slots. That was one question. And then regarding gas and how that is handled on our EVM versus Ethereum, it's similar. But other where Ethereum burns transaction fees, we're actually giving those to the operators. So that is one difference. And our gas limit is currently at 52 million per block, which Ethereum is somewhere lower than that, but I think is working right now towards going higher than that. So.
Thanks, Jeremy. Yeah, some great technical questions this week. Okay, next one. Are there domains, DeFi primitives, gaming, social, storage-heavy apps that the foundation is actively funding so builders can coordinate rather than duplicate effort. Yeah, so we're providing funding through the grants program, which launched 2 weeks ago. We have had a big influx of applications. We've got a bit of a backlog because obviously we've also got domains and listing going on at the same time. So I actually read this as domains as in like subject domains rather than subspace protocol domains. So I'm going to answer it that way. So we have a list of categories. The Subspace Foundation website has a list of categories we're actively looking to fund, and we go one further actually on the website, and I'll provide the links in the video description below. There is even an example projects page where builders can take inspiration. You can see the kind of things that we'd like to see. So hopefully that hits it. If not, find me in Discord or in wherever. Okay, question regarding staking. Where does the yield come from? Okay, so hopefully we covered this earlier, but the yield cut for the unsubsidized yield comes, as it stands at the protocol level at the moment, the yield comes from the transaction fees. So where Emil was paying for those transactions, the operator was earning the fees that Emil was paying, and then the operator shares those fees with their nominators, proportional to stake. And as mentioned earlier, we are considering the options to incentivize early stakers. And yeah, we'll be looking for community input. If you've got a solid proposal about the mechanics of how you'd like to see staking subsidized, as long as we can't break it, I'd love to hear it. Okay, a late entry here. What is the future of your beard in a post-launch world? Now, I don't think that came from the community. I think that may have come from the from those on the call editing the notes. Okay, so I did always say that kind of at mainnet launch, the beard would be well either gone, but I think I might downgrade that to just maybe a more business-like severe trimming back. We'll see. But yeah, of course, that's the real Q&A that people have. Okay, everyone, we're 12 minutes over at the moment. I want to thank everyone for sticking it out, because this does bring us to the end of today's call. It really is hard to overstate what this moment represents for the Autonomous Network. We've moved from vision to execution, and that's quite literally. With domains now live on mainnet and Auto EVM deployed, we've taken a critical step toward a modular, decentralized and developer-ready future. But as always, the milestone isn't the tech, it's what the community does with it. So here's how you can take part in shaping what comes next. You can nominate an operator. As we demonstrated earlier, operator staking is now live. If you want to nominate one of the 2 permission nodes, follow the steps Jeremy demonstrated earlier on the call, or check out the link to the guide in our docs on how to nominate, and keep an eye out. Join us on DevSync on Monday, where you'll get a further preview of the staking interface, which I'll be looking forward to using. But of course, this is the first time that you can directly contribute to transaction execution on the network while earning a share of the transaction fees, which of course is the reason you'd want to do that. You can vote on the next testnet name. We are saying goodbye to Taurus, and we're letting the community decide what comes next. If you submitted a name, thank you. We really enjoyed reading all the creative, clever names you come up with. If you didn't make a submission, now's your chance to help choose. Voting will be live in Discord shortly. I don't want you to run off right now, but I have posted on the original forum thread, there's a reply there with the shortlist, which is going to be converted into a poll in Discord shortly after the call. I want you to start deploying to Auto EVM. The dev environment is open. If you're building dApps, exploring smart contracts, or just experimenting with what's possible, now's the time. We have Auto EVM on mainnet. Everything you need to do that is live on develop.autonomous.xyz. Check the links below. And we've been updating resources to reflect the launch of Auto EVM on mainnet. Emil's been busily updating that today. Join the Dawn of Autonomy campaigns that Randy gave us a reminder of. Spark and Seed and the Node Atlas Challenge are still underway, and there's plenty of opportunity there to win. So whether you're new to the network or a long-time farmer, this is your chance to earn rewards, collect exclusive NFTs, and help grow the Autonomous community. Extra special NFTs because the images are stored on auto drive, so they're never going to disappear like some other NFTs. Okay, you can apply for an ecosystem grant. The grants program is live and accepting proposals. So if you've got an idea for a DApp, a tool, integration, or research initiative that extends our stack, please do apply today. This is your opportunity to receive funding and support directly from the foundation. And of course, watch for exchange announcements. With Auto EVM deployed and Wrapped AI3 coming soon, the door is open for broader exchange integrations. We're actively working with partners behind the scenes, and as Todd said, we'll be sharing that information as soon as we can, which will be after the exchanges themselves are announced first. From all of us here at Autonomous Labs, the Subspace Foundation, and across the wider contributor network, thank you. Thank for your feedback, your questions, and your participation. They are what drive this ecosystem forward. If you're not already, follow us on Twitter. As I mentioned at the top of the call, it's at AutonomousNet and at Autonomous Labs. They are the accounts you need to add. Join us in Discord, ask questions, and share what you're working on. And if you are feeling inspired by today's launch, help us spread the word, retweet, repost, and bring others into the network. Thank you once again for spending your time with us. Keep an eye on our socials for future announcements. We look forward to seeing you at our next event. Until then, keep farming, keep questioning, and as always, stay connected.
Thank you, everybody.